Okay, we're with Jamie from 29er Online, and Jamie has been testing the Giant Talon Zero. As you see it, it's weighed in at 26 pounds, and there are significant changes, and that's as part of our upgrade article. The majority of the footage you'll see Jamie on the stock configuration. So first, with this particular bike, we want to talk about the weaknesses. So Jamie, what do you think the weaknesses of the Giant Talon Zero are?
Okay, in original stock configuration, the hardest part I had was I really couldn't identify what its strengths were because the single most important thing to me was I couldn't get past the fork, and the fork really took away from the rest of the bike, so I couldn't tell you what the bike did well. But the one thing I know that it didn't do was the fork itself. Just couldn't get it set up. Not that I couldn't get it set up, but at my body weight, it was flexy. It was holding me back. I'd go into a corner and I could feel it shift on me, and I never got comfortable on the bike. So I couldn't accelerate. Made me not confident. Not really wanting to ride the bike. So it was a true holdback.
Alright, so Jamie, we talked about the fork. Let's talk about the second weakness that you thought.
Okay. The one other thing that I found in particular, and it just happened to me today, was the first time I really had to mess with seat adjustment, and for whatever reason, I had a real hard time getting the nose tilt right, and it took too many attempts and too long. It was very discouraging. Either the nose was too low or it'd be too high. One of my suggestions would be, a different seat post that is, easier to adjust.
Okay, any other weaknesses you wanted to discuss?
That was pretty much the only two that I really noticed. Well, actually there is a third. Tire selection. We had talked about this before. Small block 8s. They're pretty good for, what they're designed for. Hard pack, a race day tire on a buffed out trail that's hard pack. Or if you're just cruising around the neighborhood, asphalt, or maybe on a well-beaten path. But for any other condition, they're again, they're not a great all-around tire. And with a bike, that's designed to be an all-around do-all bike, probably not a good selection.
Okay, so now tires, as in the articles, are very condition specific, and so we really can't get too aggressive with the companies that choose that. But if you're really riding true single track, rocky, rooty, wet, the small block 8s are a little bit undergunned. Alright, so Jamie, let's talk about the strengths of the bike now. So once you got past the fork, the weakness, you mentioned the fork, and it was really holding the bike back. So let's talk about the handling after you made that fork change.
Okay, once we got a upgraded fork on there, the true potential of the bike is actually speed. Speed is a friend of this bike. The faster you go, the better it handles. You become a lot more confident. Slower speeds, the bike's a little sloppy, not as responsive, but as you increase those speeds, it flows really well. It's a great handling bike. It's easy to transition on turns. Descended very well. As long as I didn't, break traction with that rear wheel, it tracked. It was a point and shoot bike. There was a couple of descents where we were well in excess of 20 miles an hour and felt very comfortable on it. Didn't have to shave off the speed like I normally had to on other bikes in the same category. Actually, I felt more confident on this once I got on a better fork and unlocking that potential and realizing, hey, I can push the bike a whole lot harder now. Start digging in on corners, throwing it around a lot more. Or even sweepers, the opposite of that, the subtle changes but at a faster speed. Really incredible. Very confident feeling.
Okay, so now we're going to go back to the stock mode. We have to talk about this bike in stock mode. And again, there will be other articles on the upgrades we made and how it changed the dynamic of the bike. But in stock mode, and we did ride it in stock mode today, before we made these changes, we made changes in sequence. Who do you think would enjoy that bike?
In stock mode, the beginning cyclist, somebody that doesn't know a lot or has never experienced, the quality of, say, a high-end bike, so they don't know what they don't know what to expect, so they don't go in tainted, or somebody that's not sure, and they don't want to commit, $3,000 to getting into a new sport. The weekend guy, the guy that might be going to school, this is still a good all-around bike. Now for, upgrades, I would be actually opposite of that. I think it's more going to be for somebody that's going to be a lot more aggressive, that's had time in the saddle, and has experienced, a higher end bike, because this bike, with the right upgrades, you unlock a lot of potential.